Okay. Hello. Man, sorry about that, everyone. I'm having some issues. I have a mic here that my friend let me borrow, but it's been a few years now. I got my spit all over it, coronavirus, so I'm not sure if he wants it back. Anyways, but for some reason, the software I'm using here, the Streamlabs, it's not recognizing my mic. So hopefully you can hear me well. I really like that mic because it kind of makes my voice sound a little more rich, a little more sexy, manly. But whatever, right? We'll work with it. As long as you can hear me, it looks like I'm seeing the mic bar go up and down. So it looks like it is working now. Well, I changed it to just the internal mic, the built-in mic that comes with the laptop. And I'm not saying it's bad or anything, but okay. So let me see here. Perfect. There it is. All right. Right. We'll work with it as long as I can hear it. Okay. So it's working now. All right. So I apologize, Terry, and who someone else said hi, but I'm sorry. I was having some technical issues. I had to end that stream. What's up, Amanda? Hey, Mindy, how are you? Okay, you can hear me. Perfect. So now what I would like to do is share a joke, a story. So tonight at my Toastmasters meeting, if anybody wants to join, it's every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. We encourage people to join in around 6:45, so we can all kind of mingle and talk, and and then just 7 p.m. just start right into the meeting smoothly. But this evening the theme was "What's your joke?" and we all took turns. We went around and told a joke, and for the sake of time, I when it was my turn, I actually told them, I have a really long joke. It's gonna take some time to set up, and I could see some people like shaking their heads, like, "Oh no!" But the joke that I told was, "Where is the best place to keep your armies?" I've told this joke before, but where's the best place to keep your armies? Well, best to keep them in your sleeveys, right? Keep your armies in your sleeveys. Where else are you gonna keep them? Anyways, so that was my joke. Typical dad joke, right? But there was, oh my goodness, there's this one joke. So, one of our Toastmasters members, his name is Skip, and Skip. I mean, I love this guy. Just a good old country boy. He lives in Tennessee, but because we're meeting online, he's able to join our meeting every week. Anyways, I really look up to Skip. The joke that he told was, so there's these two friends, and one of them turns to the other and says, your wife told me that in 20 years, you've never bought her flowers. And the friend turns to his friend and says, to be completely honest with you, I never knew she sold flowers. Anyways, so the joke that I would like to share, the joke that really stood out in my mind, I'd like to share, and I actually looked it up so that I could give you like the most accurate version. But it turns out there's actually several versions of it, so I just picked the one that I like the best. In your sleeveys, yeah, yeah, Amanda. You do sound sexy. Oh, Mandy, thank you. I don't need, who needs a mic, right? When you got a voice like this. Hi there, you manly, sexy. What's up, Karen? Okay, so see, I'm horrible at taking compliments. I compliment myself like crazy because as a joke, because obviously I don't really feel that way. But then when people are like, "Yeah, you are sexy," I'm like, "Oh, why did I say that?" Anyways, um, the joke that I would like to share with you this evening, and I really love that display capture. There we go. I really love the fact that I am a part of such a positive and encouraging group. Okay, hold on one second. Oh, okay. There we go. So I'm trying to make myself smaller, right? There we go. So I can be out of the way. Okay, there we go. So this you can find it. This called Zen Stories to Tell Your Neighbors. The title of the joke is just 2 words. And the website here is users.rider.edu. I'm not going to read all that. Anyway, this is why I'm sharing the screen with you. So just 2 words, here it goes. There once was a monastery that was very strict. Following a vow of silence, no one was allowed to speak at all. But there was one exception to this rule. Every 10 years, the monks were permitted to speak just 2 words. After spending his first 10 years at the monastery, one monk went to the head monk. It has been 10 years, he said to the head monk. What are the 2 words you would like to speak? Oh, it has been 10 years, said the head monk. What are the words you would like to speak? Bed, hard, said the monk. I see, replied the head monk. 10 years later, the monk returned to the head monk's office. It has been 10 more years, said the head monk. What are the 2 words you would like to speak? Food. Stinks, said the monk. I see, replied the head monk. Yet another 10 years passed, and the monk once again met with the head monk, who said, What are your 2 words now after these 10 years? So what, it's been 10, 20, 30 years now. He's had 30 years to think of something to say. He says, I quit, said the monk. Well, I can see why, replied the head monk. All you ever do is complain. Anyways, so what I like about this website is it actually gives you these people's reactions to the story, and I really liked it. If all you ever do is complain, you can't expect to cross the finish line. You'll convince yourself otherwise first. Yeah, he had 10 years to think of 2 words to say. You would think he would come up with something a little more meaningful than bed, hard, or food stinks. So, and the version that I heard tonight, it was one of our Toastmasters, Maureen. She told the joke this way. She said every 10 years, the 2 words. The first 10 years, he says, I'm cold. The second 10 years, he tells the head monk, food, cold. And the third 10 years, he says, I quit. And in every version, they only change what he said the first 2 times. The third time, he always quits. And the response is always the same. Well, I'm not surprised. All you ever do is complain. I really like this one here. This one. I believe that we have a choice to either focus on the positive aspects of our lives or dwell on the negatives. He obviously chose the negatives and therefore was not accomplishing much, right? And if you're not accomplishing much, why would he be motivated? There's no incentive for him to stay, right? He was basically wasting his time with negative preoccupations. I really like that. And this one, the thing that makes it humorous and enjoyable is not the fact that the monk should not have been there in the first place. It's that he stayed 30 years before he left. This makes us realize that if we were in that situation, we would have simply walked out and not have waited another 10 years, right? And I like that. I like that person's observation because he's right. How many people do we know that stay in jobs that they don't like for 10, 20, 30 years? And after 10 years on the job, you may ask him, hey, after 10 years working here, at Walmart or Kroger or whatever, whatever dead-end job you think that you have. And I'm not saying that working at Kroger and Walmart is a dead-end job. I'm not saying that because obviously there are, paths to progression. You can work up the corporate ladder. All I'm saying is that if you're in a job that you perceive as a dead-end job and you don't like it, right? Why stay there for 10 years? Why stay there year after year? And you say, man, you've worked here at this company for another year, right? You worked at this big box store, right? As a pet groomer, pumping out dogs, kind of just being driven, You don't enjoy it. You don't like it. Why are you still here? It's like, can you come up with 2 words, And I don't know, if I was working at one of the big box stores, now that especially after working there, having the experience, knowing that it's not for me, and I left that very first day, they try to talk me into staying another week or 2. They're like, you just have to get used to it. I'm like, no, there's no getting used to this. I'm out, right? I'm out, baby. So I quit the very first, after my very first day of working there. And I've never quit a job like that before, the very first day. Karen, why are you blushing? Oh, so because I didn't expect anyone to actually agree, Karen. Anyways, but yeah, it's like if I was still at that job and you would ask me, can you, you know, you get 2 words to explain how you feel. I would probably say unsatisfied, frustrated. you know? And then if I stay there another year, why? So anyways, so moving on to the next joke, right? I really like this joke. It was told by one of our Toastmasters named Dave. So here it goes. The Pope, right? Everyone knows the Pope, right? If you don't know who the Pope is the leader of the Catholic Church. I mean, he is the top. And if you're Catholic, then you believe that he is basically the voice of God, right? The Vicar of God is what his official title, right? The Vicar of Christ, like he's the voice, he's the right hand of God. Anyways, so the Pope has an appointment at the UN, right? The United Nations, and the headquarters in New York City specifically. So the Pope has a appointment at the United Nations headquarters in New York City to make a speech. He lands there in New York City and gets a Uber, right? Because we're in new time. So he gets in an Uber and he like immediately they're stuck in gridlock traffic, standstill traffic, and the Pope is just feeling a little bit anxious because he's like, we don't have much time, can you drive a little faster? And the Uber driver's like, well, we're in traffic, what do you want me to do? No, I can't drive any fast, there's cars ahead of me. So the Pope says, get in the back, I'm driving. And you know when the Pope says get in the back, you get in the back, right? So he gets in the back. He obeys the Pope, right? Like a good Catholic boy. Anyways, so he gets in the back, and the Pope is now driving, and he drives like a maniac. He's just driving like crazy, and a police officer notices this, obviously, and pulls him over. And when the police officer walks up to the car, he immediately recognizes who it is, right? Because who doesn't know? Everyone knows who he is. So he calls his supervisor and says, okay, we have a problem, right? And his supervisor says, what's the problem? And he says, I just pulled over a really important person. And he says, did you pull over the mayor? And he says, no, not the mayor. More important than the mayor. And he says, oh my goodness, did you pull over the governor? And the governor of New York, he says, no, not the governor. More important than the governor, even. And he says, did you pull over the president of the United States? And the police officer says, no, sir. He's more important. He might be more important than the president. And he says, the supervisor says, wait a minute. Who could be more important than the president of the United States? And the police officer says, I'm not really sure, but he's got the Pope driving him. Anyways, Patty, our favorite housekeeper. Hey, June. There you are. Ella, welcome back. Hey, what's up, Patty? So I busted out laughing at that joke. Anyways, now that the fun is over, here's another one. How do you find Will Smith in a snowstorm? Well, Will Smith is kind of in a shitstorm right now, right? With everything going on. But anyways, this is an older joke before the Smith family has, gotten all this attention for not the best reasons. But anyways, how do you find Will Smith in a snowstorm? You look for the Fresh Prince. Anyways, that's an old joke. You probably have to Google Fresh Prince if you're a millennial. Probably don't know why that's funny. Anyways, moving on. And especially because, man, with everything going on, and I'm not even going to get into everything going on, but I think that even our children, I saw a news story saying that our kids are experiencing anxiety at levels that they've never experienced before, and they don't know exactly how to cope. And some kids, the thing is, they believe that they're not supposed to feel that this is a bad thing. I'm not supposed to feel this way. This anxiety building up, oh, this is not good. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. And I think that's important to acknowledge. If you're feeling anxious or stressed or even depressed or angry, emotional. Just know that these are all normal steps in the process of grieving. And that's exactly what's happening right now. We're all grieving. It's a collective grieving that's happening worldwide. What are we grieving? Well, we're grieving the loss of our normal lives, right? And this was, I actually covered this in another live stream. Um, Man, I wish I could remember. Let me see here. I'm going to see if I can Google it. What we're experiencing is grief. Okay. Let me see if I can find that article. Here it is. And it's the Harvard Business Review, hbr.org is where you'll find it. And this was written back in March 23rd, 2020, when this pandemic was pretty much starting. This was 4 months ago by Scott Baronato. And he was quoting an author, David Kessler, that's who it is. David Kessler. And Kessler is the world's foremost expert on grief. Let me screen share this. Okay. So if you want to find it, it's hbr.org. But, basically I just typed in Google, or you could just type this in. That discomfort you're feeling is grief. That's the title of the article here. That discomfort you're feeling is grief. And here's what it says. Okay. People are feeling a number of things right now. Is it right to call some of what we're feeling grief? Yes, and we're feeling a number of different griefs. We feel the world has changed, and it has. We know this is temporary. I mean, we thought it was going to be more temporary than it's become, but it doesn't feel that way. And we realize things will be different. Just as going to the airport forever is forever different from how it was before 9/11, things will change. And this is the point at which they changed. The loss of normalcy, the fear of economic toll, right? The loss of connection. This is hitting us and we're grieving collectively. We are not used to this kind of collective grief in the air. And you say, well, more than grief. So this is such a fascinating article, and I think it's becoming more and more true as we see this pandemic unfold. Look at this. One particularly troubling aspect of this pandemic is the open-endedness of it. And back in March, I would have never thought we'd be here where we are now in July. What I wanted to show you though, it's not. Okay, so what do you say when someone who's read all this stuff is still feeling overwhelmed with guilt? Okay. Yeah, some people are crying. We tell ourselves things like, I feel sad, but I shouldn't feel that. Other people have it worse. We should. Stop at the first feeling. I feel sad. Let me go for 5 minutes to feel sad. Allow yourself to feel these emotions. Your work is to feel your sadness and fear and anger, whether or not someone else is feeling something. Fighting it doesn't help because your body is producing the feeling. If we allow the feelings to happen, they'll happen in an orderly way, and it empowers us. Then we're not victims. And I remember this book called I Don't Want to Talk About It, where they talk about male depression. And at the very end of the book, he says this one line that I just thought that was brilliant. He says, depression freezes, acceptance flows. He's saying that when we try to bottle up our emotions or ignore them or resist them or just deny them even, they stay frozen, and it's always going to be there for us to deal with later. But if we accept the emotions, accept the situation, whatever it is, when we allow ourselves to feel sad and say it's okay to feel sad, but other people have it worse. It doesn't negate what you're going through, what I'm going through, right? And other people, it's not their responsibility to figure out these emotions that I'm dealing with. It's my responsibility to figure these out, right? And so yes, other people are going through difficult things. Some people have it worse, but you must first honor yourself enough to take care of your emotions and all of the things that you're dealing with right now, and know that it's okay. And then once that is released and you've moved into acceptance, now you can help others, right? Okay. But anyways, this is a really good article. I wasn't planning on talking about it, but anyways, it kind of hit my mind. But yeah. So Terry, yeah. Hey, what's up, Terry? I actually said mentioned you in the early in when I started the stream. Anyways, what I wanted to end this with is that one of the Toastmasters that joined the same time I joined, his name's Joseph. His speech tonight was so touching and inspiring and motivating. It was called Mentoring, Making a Difference in the Life of a Child. And the thing is, he talks about why mentoring is a child in need that has special needs, why it's such a good thing, right? Like we need the explanation, but I really did like how he started with why, and then he explained the qualities that you need to be a mentor. You need to be patient because children with special needs, he's saying that you have to have a lot of patience with them. You have to be open minded. You have to be willing to listen. You have to be a good listener. You have to be creative and come up with solutions when you run into problems or, situations that the child is having a hard time dealing with. You have to be open minded, patient. He's saying patience is the number one thing. And I really like that because I was actually relating a lot with dog grooming. Because when I'm grooming a dog, especially a dog that's been traumatized and is reacting and just, biting and all this stuff, you have to be patient, right? You have to be super patient and willing to listen to the dog, willing to listen to what they're saying and allow the dog to feel heard, right? You have to be open minded and creative and try to come up with unique solutions to somehow. Oh, shoot. I have this over here. Like, forgot to change the screen back. But anyways, um, okay, another thing. Oh, so the group that he works with is called Mentor Me in North Georgia, but he listed a bunch of places. But I'm sure if you wanted to Google it, you could find places where you can go to where you can mentor special needs children. But here's the thing: the thing that touched me the most is that when he talked about, there's a slide in his presentation that said, "Why did I choose to become a mentor?" Right? And it's because that he has special needs and he has a speech impairment, right? And that's why he's at Toastmasters. And what better place to go to work on something that's been a burden to you for so long? You know, what better place to go than Toastmasters to learn how to speak well when you have a speech impairment? And the thing is, I'm sure it was tough for him. I'm sure it was difficult. These are things that kids make fun of you for. He probably got teased, made fun of, right? And so he understands the pain and the difficulty of being a special needs child. And he's saying that um, because he knows what it feels like and he's been through it, he can now use those experiences and those difficulties in his life to help encourage a child who might be going through a difficult situation himself because of his disabilities and because of how other kids may be treating him. He now, as an adult, can help this child and at least give them hope. Look, there is a path. And he says he takes them to Dave and Buster's sometimes to play video games and things like that. He takes them to the museums. He takes them, it's like I was so touched. And I just thought to myself, what an incredible example of a human being, right? Because what is the one main characteristic of being a human being? If I had to boil it down to one characteristic that defines a human being, it's human beings look out for each other, right? That's what makes us human. If you look at any of the documentaries showing the evolution of man, and why human beings became the dominant force on this planet, it's because we look out for each other. We communicate. It's because there's trust. It's because I can go to sleep soundly, comfortably, knowing that another member of our community has my back, right? And I think that he took a situation, he took the most difficult part of his life, right? The most painful part, and he turned it into something beautiful. He used his pain and his struggles to now turn it around and use it as inspiration and to help encourage and motivate children who are going through, the similar things that he went through. I just thought that was so incredible, so amazing, and it's so such a good reminder that no matter what you're going through, and I don't want to, man, see, I don't want to make light of this either. I don't want to downplay anyone's situation because sometimes you just got to be honest and say this situation sucks. It's terrible. But okay, and I'm not gonna give any details, so nobody will know who I'm talking about. But I met a woman, very attractive woman, and we hit it off, and we were joking around, we were getting along, and we were gonna meet up that night just to hang out. I mean, it wasn't gonna be like, anyways. Instead of actually meeting up and hanging out, we talked on the phone, right? And we had a very long conversation, and it got pretty deep. And she told me that her father used to make her and her sister sit in a scalding hot tub full of hot water until their skin turned red and sensitive, because that's when he would beat her with the belt after they got out of the bathtub, and they didn't want to be in there anyways because the water was so hot. It was literally like, burning their skin. They would get out of the hot water, and he would beat them with the belt and leave, because it would leave the welts. It would make the skin bruise up more. um, So we cried together a little bit, and I didn't know what to say. And after talking a little bit, and I didn't want to say it immediately after that. I didn't want to come right back with, "Oh, that's terrible." But you can use that situation. No, that's not the right time, right? But after the conversation flowed and we moved on to different topics and everything, I was able to come back to that and tell her, what happened to you should never happen to anybody. It is unspeakable things that happened to her. But I was telling her that I can only imagine that there are other females, other young ladies, other young girls that are probably going through something like this, something terrible that they can't even talk about, you know? And I was telling her, I can never have an effect on them. Even with the best intentions, no matter how much I want to help them and I want to be there to listen to them and, help them through their pain, I can't because I never been through anything like that. And so I told her that it is terrible, and I even feel like an asshole saying this. But if there is any silver lining in it, it's that she can now use that pain from her past and try to turn it into something beautiful by helping other young ladies that may be on the verge of suicide because of the things that happen to them. They will talk to her. They will open up to her, and they'll trust her because she's been through it. And I think that as terrible as it is that bad things happen to good people, unfortunately that's just the world we live in. Let's be real. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Look at Beirut. I heard Boston just had a bomb, like a building explode or something, right? It's like every single day something terrible is happening. People are losing their jobs. People are losing friendships, relationships over the racial tension in our country right now. I've had conversations with people who are telling me that because they're white, they're losing their friends who they've been friends with since childhood. Some of these friends are telling them now that I can't trust you. Like my eyes are open now. I see how evil, you know. Oh my goodness. I don't even want to repeat the things that I've heard, but no matter how bad, no matter how terrible, no matter how much pain you're going through, first of all, don't negate it. Don't diminish it. Don't devalue it. Like don't feel ashamed for feeling whatever it is you're feeling. If you break down and start crying for no reason or no reason that you're aware of at the moment, sometimes it takes sitting down and journaling to really figure out what's going on. You got to journal it sometimes, because by writing things on paper, now these ideas that I wrote down, they were originally just in my mind, all swirling around, and I can't really get a good grasp. I can't really organize it because it's all just swirling around. It's chaos in here. But when I write it down, when I start to write my thoughts down, now I can see them. And now I can start to organize my thoughts a little better, because now you create some distance between you and your problems, right? The things that once controlled me can't get to me at all, right? Yeah, it's funny how some distance makes everything seem small, right? Anyways, my point is, when all your problems and everything you're dealing with is all swirling in here in your head, it is very easy to just get lost and sometimes just get frozen. You just get stuck. I sometimes find myself sitting down for longer than I expected and just not being able to figure out what I'm going to do next. Sometimes I just kind of feel confused and I just allow myself to feel it. Before I would get scared and I would start thinking, oh my God, is there something wrong with me? I just realized there's nothing wrong with you. Even people who are mentally ill, there's more right with them than there is wrong with them. If you're alive, then biologically speaking, there's a lot more right with you than there is wrong with you, right? So, anyways, where was I going with this? Okay, so by writing your thoughts down, you create some distance, and then it gets, anyways. And also, my main point was, once you understand your pain better, and sometimes it takes writing it down, like I said, that's why I got into the journaling tangent. But sometimes writing in your journal and getting clear on your own ideas, right, and your own emotions, figuring them all out. Once you do that, then you can use your pain from your past and you can turn it into something useful, beneficial, valuable to other people who may be on a similar path as you were, or maybe experiencing some of the difficulties you experienced. Now you can use the pain of the past, right? The things that you're most embarrassed about, the things that you're most ashamed of. You can use these experiences to help others. And I think that's why we're here, right? We're here for all of us. That's why we're here. I took that from Alicia Keys. That's why we are here. Anyways, so I just wanted to share this because tonight I really did feel very inspired by all of this, and I even got some ideas, like maybe I could be a mentor to a child, But the thing is, here's why. As inspired as I was by hearing all of this, and I even caught myself several times, and I took notes. I'm like, okay, mentor me, North Georgia, I can apply, but it takes a time commitment, and I don't have a lot of that. And also, I didn't grow up as a special needs child, and I'll just be honest. So I just don't know how much of an effect I can have. It's almost so. Here's what the Dalai Lama says. The Dalai Lama says that he believes that suffering is a good thing. It is good to suffer. Well, what necessary, I should say. Maybe not good to suffer, but it's necessary. But let me see here. Dalai Lama, suffering, compassion, quote. Let me see if I can find it. But if I could paraphrase, he was saying that if we don't suffer, then how can we ever connect with anyone else who has suffered? How can we ever have any kind of rapport with them? Because he's saying that in suffering, you learn things about yourself, and you have this experience now. This it changes you a bit when you go through a really difficult situation, like a divorce. It changed me. I'm a lot less rigid. I used to be very rigid, and I had plans, and I had Plan B just in case Plan A didn't work, and then just in case Plan B didn't work, and I wouldn't tell anybody, but I would have a Plan C in my back pocket, and everything had to be just a certain way, and when things didn't work out as planned, and then my Plan B and Plan C doesn't work out either, I would just lose it and get so angry. I had such a bad temper.